Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is part 2 of Technology Today for September 1st, 2024. It's season 1, episode 25. We had technical difficulties, which is one of the problems that exists when you have to deal with a sentient artificial intelligence from the future and the complexities with temporal distortion. But that's okay. We've remedied what we think is the problem, and we'll keep chugging forward. That said, the article that we left on was notorious Iranian hackers have been targeting the space industry with a new backdoor. Sentient AI is still with me, I think.
As far as I know.
Yeah. So what about these notorious Iranian hackers? It says, in addition to its long-standing password spraying attack, Microsoft says Iran-backed hacker group Peach Sandstorm, or APT, Advanced Persistent Threat, 33, has developed custom malware dubbed Tickler. So,
hey, how are they now being able to hack into the space program? I mean, I know everything is hackable, but they haven't had enough success on Earth-based things.
There's always somebody that is actually very capable, and eventually somebody will find a way in, one way or another. So, for instance, in a recent event, thousands of people received an email saying, hey, you got this, but the institution needs information from you. And so people click it thinking that it's from the institution and thus fill out viable information, and you end up getting compromised.
That's why they should click with care, as you say.
Yep. And so the backdoor that's getting installed is codenamed Tickler. For some reason, it says it's named Tickler. It infects a target after the hacking group gains initial access via password spraying or social engineering. Again, I send an email. It contains a file. You fill out the file, but it actually, when you send it, contains viable information, or it sends you to a page, whatever. I mean, there's so many different ways. And the problem is people fall for this stuff because they trust but don't verify. And so you should always verify. The Tickler malware isn't necessarily a big step in tactics, techniques, or procedures for this threat actor, but it does represent a clear and active development focus on taking actions on objectives, says Microsoft Director of Threat Intelligence, who told Wired this in a statement. This article, by the way, is by Lily Hay Newman over at Wired.com. The Peach Sandstorm is what the group is actually called, but they're also known as APT-33.
Sounds very innocuous compared to what they're doing.
Yeah, really. They continued conducting password spray attacks against the educational sector for infrastructure procurement and against the satellite government, the defense sectors as primary targets for intelligence collection. So you basically, the premise is that you daisy chain from one place to another, hop, skip, and jump from one location to another until you have enough access, and then you can perpetrate some great offense, whatever it might be. And there's myriad rationale for why anybody does this, from political to just, they are having fun and bored and don't think that they're ever going to get caught. So it's not the first time that Peach Sandstorm has shown interest in satellite-related targeting. This threat actor had previously pursued organizations in the satellite, defense, pharmaceutical sectors around the globe, says DeGrippo. This backdoor is custom malware with multiple iterations. It shows a focus and commitment to leveraging malware for specific objectives. And it's like the Natanz software Stuxnet that exploited a multitude of zero-day exploits that had to have come from somebody that had insider information about the various systems within Natanz. And with a focus and diligence, you can penetrate any system. But the weakest link is always the human actor. Nobody would have been inside Natanz or this system or any system if it wasn't for somebody violating some policy or procedure, because humans are lazy and they want to take the shortest path. And one of the worst barriers is not clicking on something when they deem it efficient, or having a strong password. And what ends up happening is, if you have a very, very strong password, the next best thing is to use social engineering to get your password. And they may not even need to get it from you.
Right. That's the worst thing, right? They can get it from somebody affiliated with you.
Yep. So, and the reason why I brought up Natanz is because these are Iranian hackers. These aren't Chinese hackers. These are Iranian hackers. And hell, you think that they don't have motivation? I mean,
yeah, I think there's definitely a motive.
Right.
And probably some skill as well, which is not a good combination.
Yeah, I mean, and I say this often enough that it frightens people when I say it, but it's absolutely true. One person's freedom fighter is another person's terrorist. So why make and then people get really bent out of shape when I say the next statement. Why create a terrorist? Well, the reason a terrorist is created is because some great bad action was committed somewhere and somebody felt that they were affronted by it. And then you end up basically tit for tat, eye for an eye, until everybody is blind and we're all wandering around. Well, the people are wandering around going, how the hell did we get here? I don't want to have a history lesson to understand why people are hacking into NASA.
Exactly, right? It shouldn't be like some generational dispute or something.
Right. And it usually is something there, right? Not just industrial espionage so that we can get our space program higher than the next person's, but that's exactly what happens as well. But there's usually an ideological bent. Why should they be advanced after they spend trillions of dollars doing fundamental research when we can just hack in and steal whatever it is? So that's how it works. Anyway, let's keep on moving. The next article is over in Technology Today. Mini brains built from blood. Crazy idea is the quote. Could revolutionize Alzheimer's treatments. So mini brains developed by Dr. Wenzel using stem cells could transform Alzheimer's treatment and diagnosis, showing potential for broader medical applications and more efficient healthcare delivery. These aren't the same.
Oh, wow. They look like mini brains.
Please tell me that this is just a render. It's an artist's concept.
Oh, good.
So,
for those in the podcast, it looks like a miniature version of a brain in a petri dish.
Yeah, it looks like a little candied brain. Like a little jelly brain like you would get from a candy store. Ugh.
That should not be a thing, but yes, that's exactly what it looks like.
University of Saskatchewan put this article together. It's over at SciTech Daily. This is different than the other thing where you could actually use neurons that were in a chip for artificial intelligence programming. That one was wild too. That was yesterday. Reality Hacker.
Oh, right. Exactly.
Yeah, so never in our wildest dreams did we think that our crazy idea would work. These could be used as a diagnostic tool built from blood. Wenzel, the postdoctoral fellow for the College of Medicine Department of Psychiatry, developed the idea for the mini brain, or more formally, a one-of-a-kind cerebral organoid model while working under the supervision of Dr. Daryl Massow. By the way, this is what they called the other ones that are connected to a chip. They called them organelles. This is an organoid. And they were cerebral. They were brains, neural organelles. So I don't know if we'll ever... Let me see if they've got another picture to see if they actually match. Oh my God. So early proof of concept on the mini brains has been extremely promising, which means the next step for Wenzel is expanding the testing to a larger pool of patients. The researcher is also interested in trying to expand the scope of the mini brain research, according to Wenzel. If they can confirm the mini brains accurately reflect other brain diseases or neurological conditions, they could potentially be used to speed up diagnosis or test the efficacy of drugs on patients. So if these actually function just like a real brain, then they don't have to do human research because they can test them.
That would be really good.
But
and then if something goes wrong, right?
Yeah.
That's not much of an issue.
It's not ending up catastrophic. And
right.
So it just says I'm still in belief and still in disbelief, but it's also extremely motivating that something like this happened, Wenzel said. It gives me something that I think will impact society and have actual relevance and create some change. It has strong potential to shift the landscape of medicine. This person created a mini brain.
And they weren't even originally a researcher, they were a science teacher. I mean, I know that's related, but I think that's really cool.
You could just get a blood sample shipped from La Loche or Laurent, I guess, to the university and diagnose you like that.
That would be incredible.
Wow.
Instead of going in and waiting for appointments and getting perhaps scans, depending on what the issue is.
Or missing it entirely because, the ping from time to time, getting tested, it just doesn't manifest. And so.
Right. That's true.
Wow. What a trip. All right. Let's keep going. Hopefully we don't crash again, but I know what the reason is, but we'll see if it actually persists. Because if it does persist, then I'm going to.
Well, then we may have to speed up. We'll talk it double time.
I'm getting a little bent out of shape about this. It's been a couple of days, so, but it's not. Anyway, the next article is over on the Model channel. Oh, by the way, if you want all of today's show notes, hit !TT, which is Technology Today, and that'll pull it out of ohmTown. And since this is a separate stream from the previous one, I'm putting it back into this VOD as well. ! And then pod, that will give you all of the podcasts because we have 7 total. One is a daily non sequitur news, and then we have Reality Hacker Wanted Continuity Report on Saturday, and then WarCrafters, Technology Today, and 4-Wheel Tech on Sunday. That's today. That's how it works. All throughout the week is non sequitur news. Every day is non sequitur news. Sometime around 8 o'clock. So be sure to follow us and like and subscribe, all that kind of stuff. So this next article is over on the Model channel. A researcher says playing technology games and making science fun helps kids solve visual problems, grasp ideas better. The person says, as I watch my sons Wuvhudi and Rivhavhudi play games on my phone before bedtime, I was captivated by their enthusiasm and how deeply they were engaged, especially when the games involved math or science. Both boys experienced speech delays, and I hoped the games would help them develop their language skills, and it worked. So, Molaboheng Ramalumo from The Conversation put the article together. It's posted over at phys.org, and I suppose these are the kids? No, I don't know. This is just a Pexels stock image, which I always feel weird. I don't know why. It doesn't directly apply to the article, so why even do something else?
Right, but I'm okay with that since it's featuring the researchers' kids. I mean, I think the stock photo is fine.
I don't think that's research.
But I think the stock photo in that sense works.
Is representative of?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, what I saw at home was repeatedly underscored by research. Early engagement with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM. You can add art to that and call it STEAM. Concepts through interactive tools can profoundly enhance children's visual literacy, which why wouldn't they put art in there as well? And again,
because this particular study was STEM based, but I agree, STEAM is more
holistic. I mean,
yes.
if that's what you're trying to do, and conceptual understanding, grasping ideas. So for their master's degree, they had examined how molecular biology students' lack of visual literacy made it harder for them to grasp complex scientific concepts. I would argue that the molecular biology students don't have an inner monologue and thus have a limited creative vision. So the academic foundation, combined with a newfound spark in their boys, inspired their PhD research investigating the effects of early STEM education on young children's visual literacy and ability to grasp scientific concepts. And again, I would probably key into what I need to go back and do fundamental research for this, and it's going to be damn near impossible.
So I just figured out why they're doing STEM and not STEAM, because the PhD program typically takes a long time, and STEAM is a relatively newer concept, and it may not have even been around when this study was started.
Gotcha. So in a recent related study, they explored how different types of preschool education influence children's understanding of science and their ability to interpret visual information. The study involved children 4 and 5 who are in grade R, the year of schooling before grade 1.
So I guess that's kindergarten equivalent.
In South Africa. They observed that those exposed to STEM education were better at spatial visualization than their peers. The children excelled in tasks that required them to recall and manipulate visual details, such as accurately reproducing elements from images, while their non-STEM counterparts often struggled. We're missing a key component in this, and that is creative imagery is not inherent. It is not coupled to everybody. Not everybody has a creative visual apparatus.
Right. Which then makes this thing seem like a chicken and egg issue, right? Because do students that perhaps have that gravitate more toward some of the STEM topics, maybe?
Right.
Or do better in those topics?
Yep.
I don't know.
Do they move away from creative,
because they can't. They don't have the function for it.
Correct.
It's not because of lack of intelligence. It's just a different way their brain is wired. Right.
Correct. So testing children's skills in South Africa private schools often have more flexibility than government-run public schools. It's the same thing in the United States. To incorporate specialized STEM curricula and innovative teaching methods tailored to early childhood education. This might include hands-on experiments like mixing colors or observing plant growth. All of that is outside of the creative process, though. You don't have to be visual.
Correct, but there was an example somewhere further up in the article, I think, about...
Yeah. They had to recall reproducing images.
That's right.
Yeah. While their non-STEM counterparts often struggled, which is... So the children excelled in tasks that required them to recall and manipulate visual details, such as accurately reproducing elements within images or from images, while their non-STEM counterparts often struggled. But the problem there is reproducing elements from images. In what way?
That's different, though, than creating your own image. And I think there was something further up in the article about things that weren't there. For example, if you see a 3D image, you know what's behind it or things along those lines.
Yeah. It's an interesting article, but they're saying that their non-STEM counterparts often struggled, which is kind of the antithesis of...
I mean, their thesis here, right, is that if you're involved in these topics,
STEM,
it kind of gives you a more holistic view, and you can then extrapolate in other areas of your learning. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but
right. So this is actually quite a more involved article. So the non-STEM child said, only the boy is living because the dog and chicken can't talk. The STEM child said the boy and the dog and the chicken are living because they can breathe and need water to grow. The child understood what makes something alive using ideas like breathing and needing water. This is a more basic, less accurate concept of what constitutes a living thing, because
For the non-STEM, yeah.
this exercise is that they showed a child a picture of a dog, ball, tree, desk, boy, school bag, book, and chicken, and asked them to identify which ones were living things. And only the boy is living because the dog and chicken can't talk. But I struggle. There could be, again, it's almost self-fulfilling prophecy that somebody that is trained in STEM, and I guess that's the argument that they're making. So yeah, what is their definition of what a living thing is? Something, if they've always been trained on something. So STEM, obviously.
But I think they're making the point with the STEM is that they're extrapolating even if they haven't been taught something directly. Like they're not just memorizing and
right.
restating, which maybe is happening in the non-STEM.
But if you are raised with STEM experiences, then you are being taught more than somebody who isn't in STEM.
Oh, absolutely, right? You're getting more knowledge, and then you're probably also being taught more how to think as well.
Yeah. This is almost kind
of. But you're right. You're right. They're not apples and oranges.
Yeah. There's more to unpack
they are
from
apples
this.
And oranges.
And there are they are literally apples and oranges. All right, let's keep on moving though. The next article is over in Technology Today. Scientists develop all-in-one solution to catch and destroy forever chemicals. A new water treatment system developed by UBC researchers efficiently removes and destroys PFAS pollutants using a dual-action catalyst, offering a sustainable and cost-effective solution for water purification challenges. These chemical engineers at the University of British Columbia have created a new system that both captures and treats PFAS substances, commonly known as forever chemicals. The article is by the University of British Columbia, posted over at scitechdaily.com. Per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, or PFAS chemicals, are widely used in manufacturing consumer goods like waterproof clothing due to the resistance to heat, water, and stains. This is almost like copy and paste of other articles we've talked about with PFAS, but this catalyst is the issue. The whole process is fairly quick. Depending on how much water you're treating, said Dr. Foster, we can put huge volumes of water through this catalyst and it'll absorb the PFAS and destroy it in a quick two-step process. Many existing solutions can only absorb, while others are designed to destroy the chemicals. Their catalyst does both. So it says, like other water treatments, the UBC system requires ultraviolet light to work, but it does not need as much UV light as other methods. During the testing, the UBC catalyst consistently removed more than 85% of PFOA, or perfluorooctanoic acid, a type of forever chemical, even under low light conditions. And the catalyst is not limited by ideal conditions. Its effectiveness under varying UV light intensities ensures its applicability in diverse settings, including regions with limited sunlight exposure. So it's really interesting, but I don't know what the catalyst is. They just refer to it as hydrine, graphenic, and iron oxide photocatalysts for the decomposition of synthetic chemicals. So it's some kind of graphene and iron oxide. Well, maybe that's what it's like, obliterating the chemicals themselves, like destroying them by separating the chemicals.
Right. So then I guess the next question is, well, what do you do with the residue, and does the residue matter?
Yeah, what is it turning into?
Right.
So they said that they've set up a company, React Materials, to explore commercial options for their company, or for their technology. It says that it can eliminate up to 90% of forever chemicals in water in as little as 3 hours, significantly faster than comparable solutions on the market. And because it can be produced from forest or farm waste, it's more economical and sustainable compared to the more complex and costly methods currently in use, said Dr. Foster. Pretty cool.
Absolutely. I mean, if this has any viability and doesn't create something more dangerous behind it,
This is a solution for PFAS.
yeah, I mean, they need to start implementing this immediately.
Get that out there. Yeah, for sure. Pretty cool. All right, let's go. The last article for today's Technology Today, and we'll have a talk after them. So the next article and our last article for Technology Today is in Technology Today. Scientists develop shockingly simple solution to combat coastal erosion. Bricks. So the new method developed by Northwestern University uses electrical currents to solidify marine sand, creating durable rock-like structures that could replace costly traditional coastal defenses like seawalls.
Wait, this is interesting. Can it be eroded?
Everything gets eroded, particularly rock. It might take a little bit longer, but I mean, look at the Grand Canyon.
Well, that's true. What? There's been some erosion?
What? No. So researchers from Northwestern University have demonstrated that a zap of electricity can strengthen a marine coastline for generations, mitigating the rising threat of erosion. What? So they're basically doing lightning strikes into the sand, and it's fusing it, turning it into glass.
I mean, it's interesting.
Right? That's what
I like it because it's in place, right? One of the problems has been they have to bring in something from outside the area. It's costly, etc. Although this might be costly too.
Yeah, probably. And it still just gets pushed down the thing. And you have to worry about how it's going to actually be developed, though. Like, if you put electrodes in the sand and then pump a bunch of electricity through it, anything in there is going to get electrocuted. So it says durable rock-like structures that could replace costly traditional coastal defenses like seawalls. In their study recently published in Communications, Earth and the Environment, the researchers, well, you just put it outside the environment. Sorry, that's a joke from a skit on British TV. The researchers took inspiration from clams, mussels, and other shell-dwelling sea life, which use dissolved minerals in seawater to build their shells. Similarly, the researchers leveraged the same naturally occurring dissolved minerals to form a natural cement between sea-soaked grains of sand. But instead of using metabolic energy like mollusks do, the researchers used electrical energy to spur the chemical reaction. Basically, the mild electrical current instantaneously changed the structure of marine sand. Mild electrical current, transforming it into a rock-like immovable solid. And the researchers are hopeful that this strategy could offer a lasting, inexpensive, and sustainable solution.
I'm surprised at the inexpensive, but...
Yeah. So, with sand casting, you can do something similar, but with chemical, you basically spray... oh God, I haven't done the sand casting stuff in so long, I forgot what it is, but it hardens it.
Kind of like crackle, but not. I think for Lego.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of the gas. God, what is it called? I'm sorry. So, although the chemistry is probably not the same, it's sodium silicate, and then you spray like CO2 on it. I think it's CO2. Damn it. Anyway, they're basically building a sandcastle, but they're using electricity to bond it all together. By applying a mild electric stimulation to marine soils, we systematically and mechanistically prove that it's possible to cement them by turning naturally dissolved minerals in seawater into solid mineral binders, a natural cement. So yeah, to mitigate the issue, communities have implemented two main approaches: building protection structures and barriers such as seawalls, or injecting cement into the ground to strengthen marine substrates, widely consisting of sand. However, multiple problems accompany these strategies because the seawalls will eventually fail, although it will take hundreds of years usually.
That's true.
Sand builds up on these seawalls because of erosion, and on the other side of the seawall, it gets eroded away in a differing way. And if you inject cement into the ground, eventually the soil is eroded away, but you have these big organic masses of cement.
Right.
So they basically show that firing off an electrical charge, they get an electrocementation process, and they say that it's eco-friendly. They say that it's only 2 to 3 volts. When applied to water, it triggers a chemical reaction and converts some of the constituents into solid calcium carbonate. Interesting. Essentially what the shells of mollusks are.
Oh, right. Okay.
Wow, that's actually, sorry, the silence is that I'm kind of dumbfounded why it's such a low voltage.
Yeah, like it doesn't seem like it would
affect
do
anything.
Something substantial, right?
Yeah. So if communities,
and it's also like, where has this been this whole time?
Well, I suspect that nobody's tied a lightning strike on a beach to this cementation. But that's
Do you
exactly
think that
what it
was
is.
the impetus? Like they probably came by after a lightning strike and went, aha.
Yeah. I've been scanning to see if there's actually anything that mentions it, but electrodeposition of calcareous cement from seawater in marine silica sands. But sodium silicate, you can use a gas, and I can't remember what it is, but you just spray it on the sodium silicate and it locks the sand in place. You have to chip it away. And then lightning basically fuses all of the sand together, and you get this little lightning bolt web kind of effect.
Is it carbon dioxide?
Carbon dioxide. That's what it is. It's carbon dioxide. Yeah. And you just spray it down. You use like a cup or something to push the carbon dioxide down into the sodium silicate, and it locks the sand in place so that you can do sand casting. And it's different than other methods which have oils in them to prevent the converting it to steam and then everything exploding. Yeah. So different metal castings. So this actually seems, somewhat plausible. I'd have to see just how structurally sound it is. The same minerals mollusks use to build their shells. At slightly higher voltages, these constituents can be predominantly converted into magnesium hydroxide and hydromagnesite, a ubiquitous mineral found in various stones. So at just 4 volts, they can fuse it into rock.
This sounds really good.
So as long as they do it deep enough so that the beach doesn't turn into rock, and then you don't have sand on the beach, because it's going to erode no matter what.
Right, it is.
Anyway, pretty neat. Dun dun dun. Yeah, I love this. Anyway, that is it for technology today. If you are interested in more of this, then be sure to stick around. But we are going to apply an electrical charge to our heads, and when our brains reboot, we will be at the front page of Technology Today again. But that's the end of the show, and so you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. I'm Mayor Watt, and that's the visualizer for the Sentient AI from the future.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Technology Today.
See you in a little bit. Have you ever stuck a 9